da, da.
You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are
Rope Break.
Okay, family. It's a Thursday, and we're ready to talk about both nights of both days of professional wrestling. Wednesday Night Wars, Jean-Paul. We have Dynamite this time, AEW Dynamite, a Dynamite that had all the fallout from Double or Nothing 2020, another pay-per-view that we covered. I thought that it was a great pay-per-view, and we had a lot of situations, something that we were like kind of scratching our heads. Why are we on 1998 WrestleMania time? But we're going to go over all of that, right, Jean-Paul?
Yeah, and like you said, the Fallout show, we had a lot of, this is, WWE, when they do their Fallout show, sometimes not very exciting. This is the definition of a Fallout show. We saw, some arrivals or revivals or whatever you want to call it. We saw some of them in there. Tyson, he showed up for whatever reason on this show. Like you said, I felt like I jumped in the time machine to 1998. But we had the Battle Royal, so some really good stuff. I think this was, a decent episode, a pretty good showing to follow Double or Nothing.
Oh yeah, it was. So we're gonna go right to it. So before we do that, just thank you so very much for all the support that you give us in all the social media pages and everywhere. Like, we really appreciate the love, the support, and also how you guys are always like thinking of us. So let's do Jean-Paul. Dynamite opened up with a Private Party, Joey Janela going against Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks.
And I actually thought this was, a pretty good match. The one thing, before the match, they were kind of talking to Matt Hardy, and they said, like, what version, because he was, like, the broken, with, like, the long, like, robe, and he's like, I'm broken, and they're like, hey, can we get a different version of you? And he's like, oh, okay, hold on. And he changes a few times, and then which Matt Hardy was that
we got like really early Matt Hardy? I will say like even before Hardy's, like Matt Hardy from like 96.
Oh, like a jobber,
flags,
like the jobber. Yeah, okay.
Very young Matt Hardy, so I was like, and again, like you said, I don't like that.
Now the one thing I will say about this kind of like whatever him changing is if they would have portrayed him that he came from WWE and they had it where it's like WWE mentally broke him by like putting him in these bullshit storylines that he's like actually crazy and he thinks he's all these people when in reality he's just a normal guy, then I would like the gimmick more. But because it's like there's still the weird supernatural part of it, it's like just make him insane. Like, just make him like he's crazy and has like 5 different personalities.
I think
that I think would be better. But talking about this match though, it was actually a pretty good match. Joey Janela, I think they're slowly kind of pushing him, and he's getting over a little bit. And he's a good wrestler. I think they said he's like a 13-year pro, which I did not.
Yeah,
I did not know.
He's pretty, but all of course indie, but like very good, like you said, like very underrated. Like he's hated by a lot of people online because like they, he's out there, his gimmick is like kind of like he's crazy. He doesn't really portray himself as a wrestler, but when he's in the ring, the execution of the moves way better than Nia Jax. So that tells you a lot. So if you can execute moves and be better.
Well, I was going to say, like, no offense to Janela, but I think lots of people who never step foot in a wrestling ring are probably better than Nia Jax.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You're not busting anybody open, but like you said, like really great match. So let's go over like very quick. Like Private Party, like you always say, like they do a good job, but like I don't know. There's with the situation with needs due arrival or revival, we'll see where they goes. So Private Party hit the stereo dive on Quinn. Might have like when they hit the stereo dive, Quinn might have hurt himself. Now Dynamite is becoming popular on that.
I think that was I think this is, like you said, this is the second week in a row somebody dove, but see, the Young Bucks were there. I don't know which one he dove on, if it was Matt or Nick, but they caught him. It was just an awkward landing. It was just, that was just, I would say, fate. It wasn't like with Phoenix where everybody was like, I don't want to touch him. And then he just, hits his neck and his face right on the floor. But I think Quinn was legit hurt. And like at that point, if you didn't already know, it's like, I think the Bucks and Matt Hardy are going to win.
Yep, pretty much. And that's Cassidy jump over the ropes with an STO to Matt Hardy for a 2 count. Then Cassidy put Matt on the top rope, but hits a super kick from Matt Jackson. And then Hardy did the diving elbow, pretty Matt Hardy-like. Then Matt and Nick hit the bang for your buck. and then nobody knows who is legal. Now nobody really know because it's all a mess. And eventually Hardy covers and gets the win. But like this was not the meet and greet of the whole situation. What happens afterwards is what actually make the segment so worthy, or so much better, because Matt Hardy's helping the referee get like Mark Quinn backstage, and then the Butcher and the Blade, somebody that Jean Paul says like, why are they here? They're going to lose all the time, and it's true. They've been
and even before, and even a little earlier in the match too, they kind of got in their face of the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks, they were over the barricade and they just like kicked the shit out of them. And I'm like, they're in the crowd. That's like kicking the shit out of a fan.
Yeah. So like, I don't know what happened on that, but like in retribution of that, Jean Paul, they stormed to the ring and they beat Matt and Nick, and then the Revival or the Revolt or FDR. FTR, like they showed up and like on a pickup truck, and they walked to the ring and they lift the Bucks by their hair by turning and beat on the Butcher and the Blade, and Dash and Cash hit a double team pile driver to Blade, so that's legit because of course they cannot do those moves in WWE. Really cool to see the Revival. Then they turn to the attention to the Bucks, but the Butcher comes back and the Bucks super kick him. Then the Revival, the Revolt, however they're gonna call it. They call it FTR, right? That's what they say.
Yeah. They're called FTR.
I'm like whatever, And they hit the Shatter Machine. Can they say Shatter Machine on one, on one of them? And then pretty much they just stay tall. They just stand tall. So it was a good.
Yep.
I think,
and then
I wipe pop for that. I did.
Yeah. I mean that was cool. You knew it was gonna happen. I didn't think it was gonna happen now. And like you said, these Fallout shows, you got to do these big reveals. You got to do stuff to really be like, because after a pay-per-view, you're always like, what's going to happen next? Boom, now we know. They said these two teams have been going at each other for years. They said, we want to see which team is the best. Now they can finally show it. The one thing, though, that like I picked up during the match that I texted you is they're talking about, the wrestlers being out there in the crowd when the Bucks were beating up Butcher and Blade, and Jim Ross, he's like, yeah, we're not hiding behind plexiglass, or some kind of line like that. Something about like, oh, we're not behind plexiglass.
Also, like
how like WWE is.
They keep taking
and this is the only thing I'll say about that. Normally I bring it up and I'm just kind of like, oh, don't do it. Don't give WWE attention. But I'm going to kind of call Jim Ross out a little bit on here, is like, if you want to make fun of WWE for their creative and this and that, go right ahead. But the plexiglass thing is for like a safety for a very deadly disease. So that's where it's kind of like, don't be like poking fun at people being just precautious. That's the only thing I'm going to say about that. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know why he keeps poking fun. Like again, to me, the best way to keep reminding something or somebody that you don't want to be mention it is by doing that. You keep mentioning it. It's like, I mean, you're already out of WWE. Just let it go. Because to me, you keep clinging on it. It's just like, I mean, I get it once, twice, I let it by. But it is every single show, I mean, are you trying to do that to get more attention to you made it seem it is a war? Maybe. Yeah. But I just don't understand why there's in that, they insist on do that every single show. When like, I will say maybe people like you that like very attention to detail picked up on it. I hear it. It just goes, one ear goes to the other because I'm paying attention to the show. I'm not the one to be paying attention to like, they're poking fun at WWE. Okay, I mean they insist on doing something that they shouldn't. Bad on them, but I really agree that like they shouldn't do that. They want to keep doing it, whatever. That's them. I appreciate the fact that like they at least bring new, like for example, surprise wrestlers. I really like that because nobody in the internet knew that the Revolver was going to show up. So that was cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That was a big surprise, and that was cool. AEW, I'd say, is usually pretty good about keeping things under wraps. The Brian Cage thing got out kind of, but I mean that was kind of expected. But they're usually pretty good about keeping the surprise.
Yeah, and then see, that's to me that also gives it the old school vibe. At least, hey, you feel surprised. WWE is never going to surprise you anymore. So like they actually give you everything, and you're just like, oh, okay, I just tuning in to see this rather than I tune on to the show. Oh, and they gave me that. But but great stuff. That tag team division is going to be really stocked now. What are they going to do with all these teams? I don't know. But Jean Paul ran Cage with Taz against Lee Johnson. Squash match, pretty much, really quick, and John Moxley was on commentary. So pretty much that's set up for Fyre Fest. Fyre
Mm-hmm.
Fest, they're going to be fighting for the title. So like you said, we were wondering how is this contract was going to be handled. And it became like he says when is he going to defend. It's not like Money in the Bank, like anytime, any place. It's like he stated he wanted to do this at Fyre Fest, so that's what's going to happen. And Brian Cage, like I said, he did just like his finisher, and he pretty much done. The
Oh
drill
yeah, yeah.
call,
This
the
yep.
drill club,
This was
and
just a really quick match, and Moxley on commentary. He wasn't bad. The only one thing I'll say is he did seem a little bit, because they kept saying it at Double or Nothing, and then Moxley was even saying it here. They're like, "Oh, I don't know what Taz is. Is he like a coach, a mouthpiece, a manager? I don't know what Taz is." They said that how many times at Double or Nothing tonight? Moxley's like, "Yeah, I don't know what Taz is. I hope we find out. Is he like his coach or his trainer or?" And it's like, what the hell does it matter what Taz is? He's working with Brian Cage. That's it. Nobody was like, "What's Jake the Snake? What's he with Lance Archer?" I'm like, why do you need to keep like? It's just like the kind of like, I guess it's all wrestling. They always have a little like a corporate agenda. Like they always try to
they
get
have
over
to.
through the.
Yeah. I think that like you said, is like they're not completely on their own. They have to like, hey, make sure you say this, make sure you say
Mhm.
that. They always have pointers that they have to
Yeah.
meet. And if they look sometimes dumb,
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Because that's like Moxley's. I feel like Moxley's character wouldn't care what the hell Taz is. You know what I mean? He'd be like, whatever. I'm gonna kick this Brian Cage guy's ass at
no,
Fyre Fest.
if
It
I'm
don't
gonna
matter.
kick whoever is aligned, whoever
Yep,
is by
exactly.
Brian Cage, and Taz pretty much cut a small promo, but good. He said, "I want your best. I known you made a career of being a brawler. You made a career of like giving intensity. So that's all. I want you to bring all of that at Fyre Fest because Brian Cage is just gonna take that title away from you. The good stuff. Like you said, I don't even understand. I don't understand why he was needed on commentary. If it's gonna be a squash match, in 2 seconds, why you
Mhm.
bring a guy out? That's me. I would have just be like, hey, what do you think? Maybe backstage, what do you think? Oh yeah, okay, it looks
Oh
okay.
yeah, like you said, because Taz could have cut that promo after the match, and then maybe a segment or two later, you could have had somebody interviewing Moxley backstage, been like, "Oh, what's your
What are
response to
your thoughts
Taz?"
on this? But
Yeah,
that's what happens. So we go to Jean Paul Britt Baker. Britt Baker, like she's on a wheelchair because of the injury that she had like on last Dynamite, and she comes out with like what is the name? Rebel, I think.
or Rebby or not. No, yeah, it's Matt Hardy's wife. No,
Yes,
I forget what her name is, but it's like her, so one of her
her
like
assistant.
a helper or
Her
somebody,
assistant. Yes.
and
So
then Shivani was out there as well.
and he introduces Britt Baker, and she's like willing out, and she said, well, I'm going to give you the rules of like how to be a role model. So she said rule number 3, she pretty much said don't injure or don't mess with like with a role model. And then she gave us a theory that like the person that is behind all of this is Audrey Edwards, because she said, well, she went through like the whole women's division that like all the I will say the faces and Nyla Rose, because she started
Yeah,
with
yeah. So
Atlanta.
all three of those women that
Yeah.
were in that fatal 4-way or that women's tag match, she said that they were all working against her. I like when she went through the list and she started with Statlander. She's like, she's not even an alien. She's like, this is bullshit, conspirator. And I'm like, like this is fuck. She's like, you're full of shit or something. But like you said,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
I,
it was good. Like I said, she's every week she cuts a heel promo. They get better and better. Not saying that she's like the best heel promo by a woman or anything, or even in general, but she's getting better each and every week. And I do like how it ended with Aubrey Edwards, and she was like, "Oh, she refs all these matches. It's always bullshit." And really good stuff, I thought.
it's a conspiracy. That's what pretty
Yep.
much he's saying. It's a 3-on-1, and also like it's all is all like the mastermind of all of this. This is Audrey Edwards, because she is the one that for some reason she doesn't like me. I don't know what it is. So it was cool. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I really enjoyed. I think that like this new version of Britt Baker that we just had is very very interesting, and you can like. I think is helping out on this development because it's really working. So I really like that, and she pretty much said that like her return is going to be an all out. So we gotta wait like 4 more months. So like she kind of got injured really
Yeah,
bad.
I mean they did say that it was a pretty severe injury, but not real bad, but still pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty much that. And then Jean Paul, as like she's being wheeled back out into Gorilla, then you see like role model, but roll instead of like ROLE, it was roll
Mm-hmm.
ROLL. So like that's kind of like
Yeah, like
funny.
you're rolling the model away. Yep.
Yeah, they're rolling the model, so good stuff. I really enjoy that. So now Jean Paul, the Inner Circle, has been interviewed backstage, and Jericho says that the pep rally tonight will be one of the greatest things of all time. And then they have cheerleaders, drum lines, presents, and more. And then Freshly Squeeze comes out and she's like front of like Elias used to do on Monday Night Raw, kind of like just like walks by and it's like, did he do that? And, oh yeah, did he just do that? Okay, all right. And then like, so you see like later on, maybe next Dynamite, or we're gonna see some like kind of payback on that. So we go to something really kind of good, because it was the celebration of the new AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida going against Chrissy James. Very good match, but for my liking, a little too long. Why?
Yeah.
Because the champion should have just been like squashing it at this time. But the girl, like Chrissy James, very good wrestler.
And I think that's what it was. I feel like they, Shida was going to win. Shida's a fan favorite. It don't matter whether this match was long or she squashed her. People still like Hikaru Shida just the same. This was probably like a tryout match for her. You'll probably hear in the next 2-3 days, AEW has signed. What did you say
Chrissy
her name
James.
was?
Yeah,
Chrissy James. Yeah, they'll probably have signed her because they want to keep adding to their women's division. And if you can, have a good match with the women's champ, that makes you look good to get a contract. So that's why I think the match went a little long. So I'll forgive it for that. But, otherwise, yeah, maybe it would have been nice to have the champion look stronger and more of a squash type match. But like I said, if this was a show for her, I hope they sign her because she's definitely a good talent.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, and she looked good, and that's what they did with Sarah J. So like, I'm pretty sure like they're gonna keep following that path, and you're right on that. So pretty much Jane's poses, because she was like Brazilian, so she was kind of like doing the dance, and where everybody was like, oh, so this is legit. At least I was already sold on that. I say it how it is. I was already sold with that dance. I love when somebody can like.
Yep, Shakira, the hips don't lie.
When somebody can bring the Latino that I completely forgot, it's really cool to see. So before going on to the top and then hitting a sunset play for a 2 count, then James attempts a springboard, but nobody's home because Shida hits the running knee, the Shining Wizard running knee, the last shot. Adam Cole will be really happy because if like something doesn't work out with Britt Baker, she could go with Hikaru Shida, and then they will have the same finisher. So pretty good stuff. So like you said, Jean-Paul, maybe a little too long, but like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, as we recording, we see AEW just signed Chrissy James. Good. That women's division keeps getting better and better. So now we go to get it all the way, to get it all the way. So Cody Rhodes comes out to the ring with Arn Anderson, and Tony Schiavone is in the center of the ring. So he got a really legit promo, though. Very good promo, Jean-Paul. He was the 4th guy that supposedly was called up by AEW. We already know that storyline. The guy started the company, but he has to play it out. So he says, that pretty much, he says that like he might not be the best wrestler, he might not be the most skillful wrestler, but he will always, like, he's very persistent. He will do whatever it takes. He'll outdo you because he believes in hard work. So like that's what like he was just saying, and he really convinced me on that because I agree to that more because there's many people that could have all the skill in the world, but they don't have all the will in the world to do things.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's his father's son, you could say. Yeah. He takes after Dusty, where it's like, was Dusty the best wrestler? No. But was he determined? Did he never give up? Did he believe 100% in what he was doing and saying? Absolutely.
Exactly.
So and that's what Cody's doing. So like I said, sometimes I might not agree with his booking and where he's booked. But this promo here, you can't deny it. It was legit. And, I mean, somebody had to be the first TNT champion. And like I said, as we were getting closer to Double or Nothing, I knew it wasn't going to be Lance Archer. The story was going to be for Cody. And as much as people might argue and say, oh, well, Cody just gives himself anything or everything, it's like, yeah, but look how many times he's lost, too. It's like, let him have something. Because, he's not RVD in ECW. He's not going to be the mid-card champion forever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's going to drop it. He's going to lose it. And then
exactly right. Yeah, and and he along those lines, Jean-Paul, he actually said that like he's going to have an invitational. It's like every week there's going to have somebody that can challenge him for the title.
Now, this is the one thing I will say is a little bogus on that. We had he did an open challenge, and I was excited because a bunch of people were like, "Oh, open challenge. How original." And I'm like, "Okay, but let AEW have a chance with the open challenge. Just because WWE has ruined that concept, let AEW have a run with it because they might do it legit." Exactly. But then they're like, "Oh yeah, this battle royal is going to determine the number 1 contender." AEW, they need to calm themselves down with determining number one contenders, because we saw something at Double or Nothing, which was supposed to determine a number one contender for tag teams. And then we also had that match tonight, and Chuck Taylor actually tweeted, he's like, did I get fired?
Well, like what they say, Jean Paul, is that like at Fyre Fest is where they're gonna, with the best friends are gonna get their tag team. So they were like, again, like you said, they're not so clear when it comes to that.
That's what I mean. I don't think they knew. I think it's because they know that the best friends is, and we'll get to it then, but we'll touch on it now. The best friends are the more legit team than Sabian and Havoc. Sorry, Sabian and Havoc, you guys are legit, but the best friends are a more legit team. What's the money match? Let's go with the money match at Fyre Fest versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. So that's why I think that they kind of like flipped it and was like, oh, we'll push them off to the pay-per-view. But like you said, maybe they should have been a little more clear on that. But I'm excited to see, because we had a winner from the Battle Royal, and you know,
he's a babyface.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That'll be, I think, a good match. And did they say, is that for Fyre Fest?
I think it's next week.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so the open challenge. I'm excited to see, you know, how this goes though for Cody, because I think it could be a lot of, you know, good matches. It could be like anybody, but I hope it's something legit. I don't think they'll do anything like the 24/7 or like how.
No. Jean Paul is going to be like, you know, John Cena with the U.S. Championship on 2015. You know, exactly like that. So, you know, it's good. And the only thing I got to mention on that, you're absolutely right. It's like, in wrestling, there's so many things that you can just do. So, of course, you're going to grab little things, but, like, let at least this company handle it in its own way. So
exactly.
You know, WWE is the main company, yes. But at the same time, it's like, you know, in soccer and any other sports, you got to resource to other things also. But how you handle your own thing is how you twist it around and to make it your own.
Exactly. Like I said, let them make open challenges legit. Let them make gauntlet matches legit. Just because WWE ruined it, like you said.
Give AEW a chance, you know. And we love NXT, we love WWE, you know. That's why we do this. So, like at the same time, let the others one at least have their moment. And their moment that they have, somebody that had a moment was Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, because like they went against SCU. And like they pretty much number one contender, like you said, very bogus. No clarity on this situation, because what's gonna happen? Like even you texted me, aren't the best friends like the number one contenders? So then in one line of the calling, they said, oh well, the best friends are gonna be challenging at Fyre Fest, like you said. Why? Because in a pay-per-view they rather have a money match. So this is gonna be in between, and that's why Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc end up winning this match. You know. Pretty much Havoc beats down like Scorpion Sky, and then they drags him to the corner, tag Sabian, and then he hits a double foot stomp. Kazarian counters a cheap shot, and then he hits a leg drop to Kip, then he tags in, and then he hits an assisted swinging DDT to Havoc. I thought it was done right there, but it was a near fall. So for distance, for Penelope Ford distracts Kazarian, allowing Sabian to shotgun dropkick Sky, and then he rolls out by Havoc, and then they get the win. What do you think, Jean Paul?
It was a good match, and I think the right team won, just for the sense that SCU's had their moment in the sun. They had all the stuff. I kind of want to see Scorpio Sky go on a singles run, and I want to see Christopher Daniels back with Kazarian and SCU. Have them be the tag team, because Christopher Daniels, we saw him in the Battle Royal. He got eliminated by Marco Stunt. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm already sad about it. But, you know, they had this, you know, these vignettes packages about how Scorpio Sky's so legit, and then it's like, okay, that seems like a singles push, and then now he's just in the tag team, just kind of losing. So like, do something with him. We kind of saw them go back and forth at Double or Nothing in the ladder match. They were both climbing the ladder at the same time, started going at each other, and then we saw this here. Hey, you were distracted by Penelope Ford. I ended up getting rolled up. What the heck? Maybe you split them. Maybe you feud the two of them. I hope they kind of do something with it. But, you know, like I said, SCU had their time. They were the tag champs. They had all the main event status in this division. Let someone else get the opportunity. I think the right team.
Good decision on that. I'm happy because, again, they're going to be just another match for Adam Hanman Page and Kenny Omega for those titles. So we get a big promo with Jean Paul by MJF. MJF, he's saying that, you know, I'm the guy that, beat Jungle Boy. You saw me, I can wrestle. I'm the best one in the mic. I have the best record. Why am I, you know, not receiving a championship opportunity? It's like, do I see any kind of like tainted actions by AEW's management? So it's like, oh, now I'm informed that I have to be in a battle Royal for the TNT Championship, and I don't really appreciate that. But it says, I can assure you that I'm going to be in the final two. And when Wardlow and me are like the two ones left, he knows what to do, right, man? You're gonna eliminate yourself, right? You're gonna let me. And you see Wardlow like losing it. And you're like, and he's like, I'm kidding, man. Relax, relax.
That's what I mean. Like Wardlow, and that's the thing I like. I like how he's not just like, so I do whatever MJF tells me to do. He's like, yeah, no, I'm your bodyguard because you're rich, you got money, and you pay me. But at the end of the day, I still want to win. You know, I'm still my own. I'm still my own man.
Yeah,
and that's what I like. And we saw more evidence of that when we got to the Battle Royal.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, and Battle Royal, Jean-Paul, like cool stuff, very entertaining, very entertaining. I really like how, like, for example, Billy Gunn was there, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm a big fan of Billy, and his son was like, barricaded.
His son was marking out, and this is the one thing I will say. I forget you forget how big Billy Gunn is. When he stood next to Luchasaurus, he was taller than Luchasaurus because they were like.
People can say I'm infatuated with Billy. Billy for me was so legit, and that's the one guy. If you ever ask me, who do you ever want to see as WWE champion? Billy.
Oh, I will say Billy. You could put him in the categories of definitely not as good. So I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but put him in the category of like a Chris Benoit, a guy who is like he's legit in the ring. But then you put a mic in front of him, and it's like,
and then you hear, "I'm an ass man."
Yep.
So like, but Billy.
That's why he only had, like that's why what's his name? The Road Dogg did all the talking, and he only had 2 words for you.
So legit. Like, don't make me cry because I know there's people that hate me for loving the New Age Outlaws. I don't care.
Oh no, they were legit. I mean, like not to go too off topic, but in the Attitude Era during that time, I felt like before the Hardys and all those, the Dudleys and all them, WWE had bullshit tag teams.
But yeah, New Age
it was just the New Age Outlaws. There was nobody else.
So legit, yeah. And so like you said, he was there. So a lot of guys, of the roster. So that was cool. Sonny Kiss was he or she they were there, but like a lot, and she even had a good showing too. So like I really like that.
Yeah, and the one thing that like I was kind of like, you could have mixed it up a little bit is with all 3 members of Jurassic Express were in there. I thought, I mean, it was again like not just picking on Marco Stunt, but like you could have took him out, put somebody else in there. We saw some people from the Dark Order, just like the masks, the numbers 1 through 10. If 10's dead, his arm's broken or whatever. So 1 through 9. You could have put one of them in the Battle Royal. I mean, what the hell? They would have got eliminated. It wouldn't have mattered. But at least like spice it up. But like you said, it was a good Battle Royal.
They had good stuff.
There was good spots. And Orange Cassidy, when he was making his way to the ring, he actually got jumped by then Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah.
So then that's when I was thinking, oh, maybe he's gonna win it. But I'm like, I can't see that match, him and Cody. I couldn't see that happening. But I'm like, hey, you never know, because like he's a legit wrestler. When he does the little gimmick things, ha ha ha, funny. But then when it's like it's go time, he's legit, like we saw at the end of this Battle Royal.
Oh yeah. So like, and then we had Billy eliminated Colt Cabana. Then Billy got eliminated. Luchasaurus was eliminated by Wardlow, and also like Marco Stunt was eliminated by Wardlow because he just pretty much throws him like they always do when it comes to him. And then Jungle Boy and Cassidy turned their attention to Wardlow and they throw him out. So like they kind of had to team up on that. And then Jungle Boy and Cassidy go at it. They hit in the head scissors and more. Jungle Boy tries to throw Cassidy out, but he holds the one with the hand. Then he flips back into the ring with like the head scissors to Jungle Boy. Then Freshly Squeezed tries to throw it, but Jungle Boy is out. And then he bounces back with a lariat. Jungle Boy sees a Hurricane over the ropes and eliminates Cassidy. So that was like different. That was different. John Paul, like, remind me, who eliminated MJF?
I think it was the 2 of them because they eliminated, like you said, Wardlow. He was kind of like resting on the rope. Something happened. I forget if he threw someone out or something, but he was kind of like distracted a little bit, like taking a breath. And then they flipped him over, and he was like pissed off. But it was something with MJF. MJF did something where like I think he could have saved Wardlow because he just looked really pissed off. Yes. And it was kind of like directed at MJF. But then they got him out. And like you said, Orange Cassidy was then there, and it came down to the 2 of them. And like the ending spots, I mean, he was hitting those big elbows, those forearm shots on Jungle Boy. It was good stuff. And like you said, babyface versus babyface, him versus Cody. I think it'll be a good match. I don't see him winning it, unfortunately. I do think Jungle Boy's time will come in the singles champion and a tag champ, but I think this will be a good match, and a good showing for Jungle Boy again, and a good win for Cody. It's just unfortunate, he lost on pay-per-view against MJF, and then he's probably going to lose to
Well,
Cody.
like what I feel that like what they're doing with him is just like you said, I mean, we said in the review also, like see, they're trying to like they know he's the future, so they gotta give him some like rubs with like main talent, but his time will come. So good.
Oh yeah, and I think too, you make it like he's the ultimate underdog, where it's like
Yes.
he's this close to winning. Jericho, MJF, Cody. He's like, look at all these guys he almost beat. Then when he finally beats them, like I said, that pop will be huge.
Exactly. So Jean Paul, we go to the main event time. Finally, like the rally from the inner circle. Like they pretty much to me, it reminded me of like the festival of like where they had like I think it was like the first weeks of the month of January. I think it was when they had like that big thing where like they exchanging gifts. They had this same segment that they have. I saw like they were giving themselves like pictures of Mark Anthony. I don't understand why that was about, but like that I wasn't too thrilled with that segment just because it's funny, but at the same time it's been redone. So what's the point of all of this? What's the point of this, Jean Paul? To get Mike Tyson out with his posse? So I'm not completely excited of what happened here, but Mike Tyson, his posse is like they have a UFC fighter. He had a pretty good guys, pretty known names. So that was really cool. And then pretty much Jericho is saying that, hey, he actually acknowledged WWE. He said, like, 10 years ago, he knocked him out. And that was on Monday Night Raw. And I remember it was like a DX match that he had. And Mike Tyson was just back, he was just in the ringside. I don't know why he does these things. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, like the whole segment, I agree 100% what you said. Like the opening thing when they were giving each other gifts, it's like, okay, whatever. And it's like, we didn't see Tyson and this and that. Sammy's like, hey, what do you want? I got you some, crackers or whatever the hell, like a cheese platter and some bubbly. But it was all, they drank it all, eating it. He's like, who the hell did this? He's like, I want Tyson's head on a platter. That's what I really want. I don't want this crap. And then Tyson, and like you said, his group comes out. They're the one, then they were drinking the bubbly, eating the cheese and stuff. So it was them. And they brawl and all this stuff. And like we said, it didn't even remind us or remind me, and I know you thought the same way, of that segment with DX. It reminded me of Austin.
Yeah, it reminded me when Tyson came out the first time. Yeah, they did the same thing. Well, Jericho was asking an apology.
Yeah, but but tell me though, I want you to answer this like honestly, because I really don't even know what is going to be the whole purpose of this. Are we going to see Jericho versus Tyson in a match? Because I do not want to see that at all.
Saying that because Mike Tyson is going to make a return, supposedly, like to boxing. There was a lot of talk that he was announced that he was going to go against Tyson Fury. And so like there was.
I mean, I would watch that. But what does that have to do with Jericho?
So I guess like of course you're gonna grab the biggest name in AEW, that is Jericho, and like maybe they have like a kind of like a Floyd Mayweather against the Big Show.
But this is the one thing I will say though, and obviously I love wrestling. Everyone watching this knows I love wrestling. But Mike Tyson is going to go against, if he goes against Tyson Fury in a legit shoot fight, a like real fight, and Tyson Fury is legit real crazy. How is being in a worked match against Chris Jericho gonna? You know what I mean? Like, gonna prepare you, or like, it's not like Tyson Fury's gonna watch that and people are gonna watch, because nowadays it's not 1970 anymore. Everybody knows wrestling is a predetermined, it's a show, it's a work, whatever you want to call it. No one's gonna be like, oh, Tyson's legit. I think he can beat Fury. He beat Jericho. You know what I mean? No one's gonna think that. So I would rather just see the Inner Circle and Jericho in a legit wrestling program instead of getting Mike Tyson over in a match that he's probably going to lose against Tyson Fury. But hey, who knows?
And like I said, I don't really know where they're going to take it, but like where everything is appointed to is going to go, because again, they're trying to like feud him with another like group of guys. So like the posse going against the Inner Circle. So they're trying to, once again, I feel that like they're trying to go the WCW way. They're trying to give exposure by using names from other sports. For example, like what Karl Malone did, what like Dennis Rodman did, they're trying to do that exposure from other, sports. They're just trying to get names, and what bigger name than Mike Tyson. because Mike Tyson will not be remembered as the greatest boxing champion of all time, but he will be remembered as the most controversial champion of all time, because everybody in the freaking world knows who Mike Tyson is. Either because he bites, Holyfield's like he gets a chunk of like Holyfield's ear, or because you remember, oh yeah, he used to be a champion.
So I was gonna say, yeah, you either know he bit somebody's ear, he has a lisp, or wasn't he the guy from that old Nintendo game? You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, so but that's what I mean. So they kind of like, if they're doing that, the one thing I think, Jean-Paul, is they just need a big staple of guys to feud with the Inner Circle. And I guess Mike Tyson is there.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to do that. I don't think that's a good way to book it. Did Evolution always feud with stables, or did one guy feud with another guy, but then the Evolution guys came out and they helped their guy win?
Yeah.
You don't need to do 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5. It can be Sammy Guevara feuds with Joey Janela, but the Inner Circle keep having Sammy win because the numbers game, and then that's how you do it.
But see, the one thing I feel is like, because if you could do that, if the Inner Circle will have the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, but since it's on Jon Moxley, that's why you have to, like, how do you portray these guys? How do you book these guys in a way that they look main event without having the title in it? And now that the Elite, pretty much like you said, when the faces win clean, what happens? Feud is over, in Jean Paul's jargon. What do you do with these guys? Oh, well, Mike Tyson is in hand. He has guys. Let's do it. Because we don't really have another big group of faces that I can go against the Inner Circle.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the more legit match, and I agree with, like you said, it's like, hey, Tyson is going to be main event-ish because it's Mike Tyson. You want to keep the Inner Circle still relevant, so you put them with that. So I understand and I agree with that. You get the exposure from the boxing world. I understand where they're going from it, from their business, but just from a fan watching it, I'm like, I really don't care about Mike Tyson versus Jericho.
I don't think anybody's thrilled by this. I already heard a few comments. Everybody's like, 1998. Everybody's like the Stone Cold segment, because even Mike Tyson was at that time really young. He's like, already Tyson is almost like 50. Jericho's almost 50. So it's like, okay, are we going to see a fight, good? What are we going to see there? So, Jean Paul, that was how Dynamite ended, a big brawl. So they resorted to the WWE way of like doing a brawl, pretty much everybody going at each other. Kind of like the opening segment of Monday Night Raw when Brock Lesnar and a big dude was like, going at it.
Yep, and like we said, it was like 98. You had to pull. Everybody was pulling apart. It was like 2 seas of people, just like, but like Jericho was like fighting through everybody. Tyson was fighting through everybody, and it was like,
it's like, if I don't, that's what to me was like the only thing that I will say. Maybe don't have those things on the show. It doesn't do any good. But that's what it was. A pretty decent Dynamite, Jean Paul, and we'll see what happens with the progression of these things, because they have Fyre Fest. Maybe All Out will be the thing for Tyson and Jericho. I don't think Fyre Fest. I really don't think so, because Fyre Fest is not even a pay-per-view. It was just, a secondary pay-per-view that they had.
I mean, I would rather have it be then just so we can get it over with, but we'll see. I mean, if they can make it interesting and whatever. The one thing I will say, though, from everything we saw on this show, I'm definitely excited for next week.
Yeah,
see where these storylines go.
So, Jean-Paul, remind everybody where they can find us on the social media world.
Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, right here on YouTube, the original Rope Break. And then on Twitter, we have the OG Rope Break. Follow us on there, see all the updates. You don't want to miss it.
See all the good stuff. So, family, thank you so very much for watching the videos. We'll be with you just in a little bit, because we have NXT for you guys. So, Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say. And that is going to be...